Hello and welcome to another ORAS Wi-Fi battle. Today we're bringing you a battle against Andres, who's running a pretty interesting team. Some OU in there, some nice stuff I haven't versed often yet. So we jump straight into this battle, and as we jump into this battle I have a question of the day for you. What is your favourite dual typing? My favourite dual typing is probably water and ground, because that only 4 times weakness to grass, and you know, you've got immunity to electricity, and you've got quite a nice bit of coverage, and grass isn't the most common move used in competitive, so it's probably my favourite typing. Anyway, if we jump into this battle, I lead with the fake out just to hit this Feraligatr up for some damage, and then I go into my toxic to absorb that earthquake. Didn't predict the earthquake, but I predicted some kind of physical move, and now my opponent makes a really bad misplay here. He goes into his sizzle expecting a toxic or sludge bomb or something like that, but I doesn't think he realises I carry Will-O-Wisp and, you know, flamethrower and stuff on all this. So it evolves into a Mega Scissor as well, which is a real shame because it is a waste of his Mega. So definitely won't recommend. If you see a Weezing, I'm pretty sure all Weezings carry Will-O-Wisp. There'll be a very few variants that don't. But you really want to watch out for Weezing. You don't want to switch in a physical attacker on Weezing. You want to switch in a psychic type that doesn't give a shit about being burned. Delphox is actually a pretty good counter, which I was expecting to switch in for that Will-O-Wisp. And anyway, talking of Delphox, here's Delphox itself, which looks awesome shiny. I don't care what people say, I love Delphox in its shiny mode. It looks really good. So I switch into my Mantime here, and he gets a switcheroo on me, which completely shuts down my poor Mantime, and I'm not going to be able to do anything now. I've got Confuse Ray, Substitute, Scald, and Air Slash, so I have to choose a move to lock myself into. And if I'm locking myself into anything, it's going to be Scald, which I'm pretty glad I did here, because, you know, you can get the burn, etc. So I go for this, and I make a silly play here. I was expecting to switch out, but I'm choice banded now. I'm pretty much useless, so I don't mind losing my kite too much, because I didn't think it helped too much in this game. So I go into my Chinchino here. I know I'm going to be able to get the outspeed. So he does manage to switch, and I go straight for the Rock Blast to try and finish this thing off, but he does switch. He does realise he's not as fast as Chinchino, and I go for the Rock Blast here and just keep hitting away. At this point I'm thinking, I don't want to U-turn out just in case he's got Rocky Helmet, and I want to stay as healthy as possible. So after I keep hitting this thing up with the Rock Blast, I go into my MVP, which is, this thing is becoming one of my favourite Pokemon competitively. I go into Staying Alive, yay, we'll get this on. So anyway, hits me with a Stone Edge, and that does a lot of damage considering I resist it, but Gastrodon takes it like a boss. I mean, his name's Staying Alive, for crying out loud. Staying Alive does not go down attacks like that. Staying Alive goes down to nothing but grass. So he switches into his Feraligatr here, and I just hit it up anything up with Toxic. Without the Scissor about, I can just go for a Toxic on basically anything. If he stayed in, I got a Toxic on a wall. If he switched out like he did there, I got Toxic on something, so it's going to rack up. So the poison damage starts taking effect. I'm thinking, okay, another thing has got D-Dance, and D-Dance is pretty common on these Feraligatrs now, because I was expecting this to be the Sheer Force, you know, Life Orb set. So goes for a Dragon Dance, starts setting up, and this thing's starting to look scary, but luckily this Weezing, this designed to stop me from getting swept. It doesn't work all the time. So he goes for the Waterfall here, trying to make me get the flinch. Oh no, sorry about that, Sheer Force neglects that. There we go, I can speak English today. So I hit this thing with a Clear Smog and get rid of its stat changes, but it does reveal a Citrus Berry. Must have been Dot on half health, and I personally wouldn't recommend Citrus Berry on this thing. Life Orb, you know, Life Orb Sheer Force is the way to go. Maybe you wanted some kind of sustain. If anything, you should have went for a Lumberry. At least you would have got rid of that poison damage or Will-O-Wisp damage. So, but then I make a misplay here. I go for the Pain Split, thinking this thing would have a lot of health. I don't know Feraligatr too well, but I think water types have massive amounts of health, so I was hoping to get some of the health from this Pain Split, and of course it does nothing. So hits me with an Ice Punch again, hits me with an Ice Punch for another turn, but I just keep going for the Clear Smog here, and I'm able to take this Feraligatr out with the poison damage, and it makes a Clear Smog. So as this Feraligatr goes down, I'm wondering what he'll bring in here. I believe he brings in, what does he bring in here? He brings in a Delphox, that's it. So there's a Psychic or a Fire move going my way. I believe I switch out into my XCOM here, predicting the Psychic move, and I believe I do get the predict here. Yep, goes to Psychic, and luckily for me he does, because if we went for Flamethrower that would have ruined that would have ruined my XCOM's day. So he makes another not too great play here, and goes into Noivern. he said he did predict the knockoff kind of thing, and he had to choose something to sacrifice, but I don't think he expected the Ice Shard. So, cause I know a lot of Weavils carry Icicle Crash instead of Ice Shard, but I just prefer Ice Shard just for the pure priority. Cause being fast with priority ensures, can ensure a kill at times, and it does make a difference. So I switch out here, I go back into my staying alive, so we'll get this groove on. So it hits me with an Earthquake here, and Earthquake's not going to do too much to me, brings me down to just about half, I'd say, but leftovers I'm just above half now thanks to that. So of course I'm just going to go straight for the Toxic again, and he brings in this Garvantula, and I'm like, okay, the only reason he would bring this in, he knows it's a water ground type, and he's just going to hit me with an Energy Ball. So I don't want to stick around, and I'm thinking, okay, what can take an Energy Ball and then die next turn to so I can rack up this toxic damage as much as possible. And of course that's going to be my Weezing. So Weezing comes out here basically just expecting me to die. So he's like, come on, hit me bro. So he hits me up with his Energy Ball. Don't take that. Take that quite well actually. I am very specially defensive investing for a Weezing, but toxic damage is going to start taking its toll. Then he's just going to hit me with another Energy Ball, which is strange. I thought he would have went for a Thunderbolt. Maybe he's Spec'd or Choiced, but personally, if he was Spec'd, he probably would have done a lot more damage. So down goes this Cavantula, which doesn't look too different from its normal form, even if it is shiny. So I forgot to him with Black Sludge again. He brings out the Delphox. I'm thinking, okay, I'm not going to get away with it this time. So he's going to go straight for the Flamethrower here, and he does, and kills off my Weezing. Of course I did not mind Weezing dying at this point. As I say, my special defense wall's down, now my defensive wall's down. But it's getting to the point in the match where your sweepers are going to come in more useful than your walls. So go for the Fake Out just to see if he's going to stay in, and he does. And it causes a nice little chunk of damage with that Fake Out, then I remember, oh yeah, this thing's got leftovers. So at least I know it's got an item, so I know this knockoff's going to cause a ton of damage, super effective, plus knocking off an item, plus stab is going to end this Delphox's life. So knock over the leftovers, we've got food rolling all around the floor. So he goes into his final Pokemon, which is his Gigalith. And I just go for the knockoff. I want to knock off whatever item this character, and that's a huge chunk of damage and gets rid of the citrus berry, so that's really good. I'm glad the berry doesn't pop after the health goes down. You knock the berry off first, which is really useful, because if he'd eaten this berry here, battle could have dragged on for quite a bit. So he hits me up with 2 Earthquake. Down goes poor Weavile. Weavile's not exactly known for its bulk. So I'm going to mention Chino here, and he probably thought, what's he going to hit me with? But of course, Bullet Seals. What just needs the 1 and totally takes this thing down. So thank you for the battle, Andres. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. It was a fun battle. He did quite well. Few big mistakes, but we both did mistakes in that game. So I hope everybody enjoyed this battle, and hope you like and subscribe, and hoping to see you some more.